We are live. We're back. How we all doing today? Welcome back to another fantastical episode of .NET Phillies live edition. If you missed the last episode, it was kind of a mess because I kind of forgot what I was doing. The last episode, I explained why I'm going live now, and if you missed that, because my computer is toast at the moment, getting fixed currently. And Ashlyn was gracious enough to let me borrow her laptop. However, her laptop cannot handle my editing stuff, so I decided to just live stream everything, and we'll all be hunky-dory from there. Now, before we continue, I just need to hop on here, make sure everything sounds good and everything looks good. Not me watching the Phillies postseason home runs from last year. Definitely not that. All right, perfect. I don't know why the thumbnail looks the way it does. It's kind of annoying that it's so blurry because I hate that the quality comes out like that. I have no idea why it comes out like that. I didn't change the stuff that I change, that I export as. So I am not sure why the thumbnails are looking the way they do, but just gonna go with it. There's a fly. Hold on. Right there, buddy. Bitch. Get him? Might have gotten him. Anyway, there's a fly that's down in this basement that's been terrorizing me forever, and I'm trying to kill it. I don't know where it is. But anyway, welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we got headlines, just a quick overview of the two games the Phillies played up in Toronto. Another edition of Remember Him. I just saw the fly past me, so no, it is not dead. Another edition of Remember Him and the series preview versus the Washington Nationals coming up, including the Sunday night game in Williamsport, which is always great to see those games. And before we get started, I will be at the Eagles game tonight, so that's exciting. I will be there with my two brothers and my mom. I have three brothers, but my older brother does not care about sports, so he could not care less. So I'm going with my mom instead. So there's a little tidbit for you. Today's episode is probably going to be a little shorter, just because there's not as much content to cover. So I do apologize for that. And before we even get started on anything, an announcement that next week. Hold on, the fly's back. Oh my god! It lands for like a second, and before I can, I'm gonna put the shoe next to me, so that way I can just quick with it. Before we get started, next week there will be no new episodes. I will be helping Ashlyn and her family move all week, so I'll be unable to stream anything or make videos or anything like that. So barring anything major happening, there will be no new content until next weekend, unfortunately. Life gets busy, and I do apologize for that. I'll be keeping updates like on my Instagram and TikTok and stuff, so just look out for that stuff. But I do apologize. There will be no new episodes next week due to personal matters of that. So I just wanted to let you guys know. So headlines, that was one of my headline things, but I figured it because I know me and I'll forget, and then I'll be like, oh crap, and then it's like a whole thing. So headlines, Josh Harrison, who was designated, I don't know why I'm yawning. Josh Harrison, who was designated for assignment at the trade deadline, was recently picked up by the Texas Rangers. So have fun with him, Texas. Great dude, great clubhouse guy, but that's about it. We all remembered my hatred for Josh Harrison and everybody's hatred for Josh Harrison. That is a Phillies fan. My new bit. God, I just looked over. So one of my coworkers recently gave this to me yesterday. Here, let me bring it up closer. It's like a Ryan Howard coin. It's like hit from his 2007 MVP year. Or was it 2000? Yeah, it's MVP year. Right? Yeah. No, 2006 was his. Yo. What year did Ryan Howard win the National League MVP? was 2006. I knew it. Not his MVP year, the post MVP year. However, it's a little coin bank. So, being the sick, sadistic bastard I am, I decided during every series, I'm going to have a whole thing of quarters or coins or probably pennies. I have a lot of pennies, so it'll probably be pennies. And I'm going to put a penny in here every time the Phillies piss me off. And a fun little game we can do is I can, dump it out. Maybe I'll have like an extra little area here, or like I'll just have it in here or something. But a fun thing we could do is dump the coins and see all the times the Phillies pissed me off during a said series. See if it was the most recent series, there'd be like 5 pennies in there, and 4 of them will account for Aaron Nola. So that's a new little bit we'll be doing from here on out, starting, when I start going live again. Every time the Phillies piss me off, coin in there, and we'll reevaluate. Maybe I'll do it on the degree of how pissed off I was. Like, if it's just like an error, I'll put in a penny. If it's like Rob Thompson's bad bullpen management, I'll put in a nickel. If it's like a dropped ball from like Schwarber or whoever, I'll put in like a dime. And then if it's just like an egregious, like, you got to be kidding me, like only scoring run with the bases loaded and nobody out, that'll be a quarter. Maybe I'll do it like every coin has a certain degree of pissing me off. And for Aaron Nola start, there's going to be a lot of coins in there. So get ready, San Francisco. So that'll be the new bit that we got going on here. So look out for that. But as I mentioned, Josh Harrison is picked up by the Texas Rangers, so good luck to him in whatever they're going to use him for. Brandon Marsh slotted at DH today for the Iron Pigs, so that's going to be huge to get him back, especially because it's been brutal watching Kyle Schwarber out there again. I forgot how bad it was. We were so blessed having Marsh and Rojas in there on a consistent basis. So getting Brandon Marsh back is going to be huge, especially from the bat perspective. The Phillies haven't been missing his bat. They've been doing a lot of damage and winning a lot of games without him. And not to say Johan Rojas is a slouch at the plate, but he's not Brandon Marsh. Like, I feel much more comfortable with Brandon Marsh in a Brandon Marsh at bat than I do with a Johan Rojas at bat. And that's just because track record. Not to say, Johan Rojas has been bad. He's been exceptional, especially defensively. He's been a revelation out there. So getting Brandon Marsh back is just going to make that outfield defense so much better. And again, not to say like Johan Rojas has been really good in center. Jake Cave has been fine in left field and right field, wherever they put him. He's actually starting to smoke the ball a little more. We've barely seen Weston Wilson. We saw him in those 2 games in the Nats series, and I think we saw him for a game or 2 in the Twins series. But other than that, we haven't really seen him. So it'll probably be Weston Wilson getting sent back down when Brandon Marsh is active, and it becomes a conundrum when Christian Pache is ready, because then what do you do with Rojas? Because Rojas has been awesome up here. Do you keep, it's a good thing, because I think I read on Twitter and somebody made a really good point that the Phillies don't feel rushed to get Christian Pache back in the lineup. It's not like it's a Bryce Harper or a Kyle Schwarber or Nick Castellanos where they're missing that bat in the lineup and they need to get him back. Like Pache, yes, I trust his bat a lot more than I do Johan Rojas, just because track record wise and what he was doing before he got injured both times. So it's a great problem to have, but they don't have to streamline him coming back to the majors, because Rojas has been so good out there. So they can allow Pache to really take his time, really get fully healthy, because his bat is going to be immensely valuable, which is, again, a sentence I never thought I'd say when the season started. Everybody remembers how much I hated Christian Pache and watching him play baseball. Offensively, defensively, he's always been fantastic, but his bat is finally starting to come along. And if they get that bat back, even to a quarter of what it was, add in with that defense, they're going to need him for that stretch run. I don't know how much we'll be playing. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of Pache, Rojas in center, Martian left, Schwarber at DH, which it's going to be fine because Nick Castellanos has been fine in right field. He hasn't been an utter disaster. He's not great. Don't misunderstand me, but he hasn't been an utter disaster. And then you have Marsh, Rojas, Pache manning the from center to left or center to right or wherever. It's fine. They can shade over. They can cover a lot of ground in case they need to make up for anything with Castellanos. But, I'm not taking away anything from Nick Castellanos because he's been really, really solid out there in right field to everybody. I think to everybody's surprise, he's been really good out there. Jose Alvarado made a relief appearance. He should be back very, very soon because the Phillies need him right now. That bullpen looks shot right now. The only guy I really trust out there 100% with my life is Craig Kimbrell. And again, coming back to my original point that if you told me that Craig Kimbrell was going to be your most reliable reliever this year, I would have looked at you like you got 10 heads, but you don't know what's going on with Sir Anthony. You don't know what's going on with Soto. Hoffman has been more good than bad. Ortiz is not very good out there. Strahm has been really good, but he's more of a long reliever guy. And that's kind of it, right? Am I missing a guy? I feel like there's not that many. There's not that. Oh, Dylan Covey. Title of the episode. How could I forget about Dylan Covey? He's Dylan Covey. So if I'm a betting man, it's probably going to be Ortiz that gets sent down when Alvarado is active, and they need him, man. They need another high leverage guy because, like I said, you don't know what you're getting out of Soto and Dominguez right now. Soto looked good yesterday. It was kind of a get right spot for him, not a safe situation. I really like Thompson going to him in that situation. But, if you get Soto going like how he was in June, if you get Dominguez to have like a 3 the rest of the year, add in with what Alvarado can do, add in what Kimbrell can do. This bullpen is really good. This bullpen has really been good without Jose Alvarado. Now you add him into the fold and they're that much better. You can have, kind of firemen in the 7th, really in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's not just the 9th inning you have to worry about because I think Kimbrell, although recently, and I'll touch on it later, Kimbrell's been used as kind of a fireman recently because he is your best reliever right now. You can have multiple of those guys. You can have Dominguez in the 6th inning if you're worried if it's a tight game or if you want to only be down by a run. You don't have to go to a Hoffman who's been more good than bad. You don't have to go to Junior Marte when he was up here or a Luis Ortiz when he's here. You can go to those big heavy hitters to keep you in games or keep the leads for those dogs at the back end of the bullpen and Alvarado and Kimbrell. So getting him back is going to be huge. And I also mentioned with Christian Pache. So that's it for headlines. Let's get into the brief 2-game series that the Phillies had against the Toronto Blue Jays up north. Phillies lost game 1, 2-1, full discrepancy. I did not watch this game. I actually went to the movies. I saw the Last Voyage of the Demeter. Very, very good movie. However, definitely didn't have my phone on low and was kind of doing one of them, kind of looking down and everything. Wheeler looks like Zach Wheeler again, which is huge for this team, especially with the inconsistencies with Ranger, Nola, and Walker recently. Sanchez, I'm not worried about, and they even said this start coming up against the Nationals is going to be his last one. I'm assuming he goes to the bullpen unless they get crazy and send him down and bring up Bilotti or Brogdon. I don't know. Wheeler being Wheeler is huge, man, because we can't have question marks 1 through 5. I mean, you get question marks 2 through 5 now because Wheeler, I wrote it down here. Wheeler in the second half, 6 games, 39 2/3 innings to a 2.5 ERA and an 0.882 WHIP. That is insane from Zach Wheeler in the second half. He's been Zach Wheeler, man. So, and of course, in, Phillies fashion, they waste the 7-inning, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, 5 strikeout performance from him, as they commonly do. We had a good old-fashioned pitchers duel in this game. We had Zach Wheeler versus Yusei Kikuchi, who at the beginning of his career, Kikuchi, with the Mariners, it didn't look too good, and then he gets traded over to Toronto, and he's looked like the pitcher the Mariners thought they were getting. So good for him. Then Rojas in the 6th with an RBI double to make it 1-0. And the Phillies, if they're allergic to one thing and one thing only, it's they are allergic to shut down innings, because you got George Springer with an RBI in the 6th to tie it up. And then Wheeler gets you through that 7th, and then we get to the 8th inning. And this is kind of what I talked about and touched on in the opening here is Seranthony Dominguez. What are you getting out of him? Because this 8th inning was a disaster. You had a walk, single, strikeout, walk, bases are now loaded, ground out, get the force out at home. And then you hit a batter and give up the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Phillies go down quietly. And at this point, that's your 3rd straight loss, and you've scored 2 runs in 3 games. That's not very good. That's not going to win you a lot of ball games. And we've seen what this offense can do. We've seen that they can be dogs. We've seen the power of Schwarber. We've seen the contact ability to work at bats of Bohm. We've seen Bryce Harper win an MVP, for God's sakes. Nick Castellanos, we've seen what he can do. Bryson Stott has been consistent all year. JT Realmuto has been a massive disappointment, and we'll talk about him when we talk about game 2, but JT, anything positive you get out of JT this year is a bonus. Trey Turner's turning the corner, no pun intended. You had Marsh when he was up here, but now you have, Cave, Sosa, whomever are occupying that 8 and 9 spot. But we've seen this offense be a buzzsaw to teams. And the fact that, they faced good pitching for the first time in a while, and they sucked for 3 games. Yes, they got the Gaussman last night, and we'll talk about that because I think that's going to be like we can actually beat good pitching kind of moment for them, because they were all over Gaussman last night, which was great to see. Because baseball, I even said that. I said the Phillies are so going to win the Kevin Gaussman start just because baseball, because it makes no sense at all. But they torched Gaussman, not torched him, but they tagged him for a good bit. They should have been more, but baby steps here with this Phillies offense. Baby steps. But to round out, Seranthony, 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. And then Hoffman came in and got that final out in the 8th inning. So you got to give props to Hoffman there. I mean, coming in, bases loaded, the momentum swinging all in the Blue Jays' way. And to get that final out is really, really big. But, you got to get Seranthony going, man, because, for like 3 outings, he looks really, really good, and then he regresses a lot. And then he looks really good, and then he regresses. Like, the inconsistencies are starting to catch up with him, which is concerning. But like, I just trust him. His stuff is too good. I don't know if it's a mechanics thing. I don't know if he's tipping. I don't know if it's the pitch calling. I don't know what it is with him. I think it's mechanical. It's something that I think they can fix, because we've seen him be Seranthony Dominguez this year. We've seen him dominate, and I think it's in there. And if they unlock that, if they get 2022 Seranthony Dominguez with Alvarado, with Kimbrel, with Soto, if you can get him on a roll, that's 4 horses, man, that you do not like. If a starter goes 6 innings, it's game over if those 4 guys are going. Even if they go 5 innings like Nola did last night. If they go 5 innings, 6, 7, 8, 9, all taken care of if those guys are on it, depending on the score, of course. But even depending on the score, you have Strom, who's been great. Hoffman's been great. That's about it. I mean, Dylan Covey's been better than Aaron Nola. Try that one on for size. But the Phillies bullpen is built around their dogs being dogs. And if they can unlock Seranthony to be Seranthony Dominguez again, it's going to be huge. Alvarado coming back is going to take a lot of that pressure off of Soto and Dominguez. It's going to take even pressure off of Hoffman, who's been used in high leverage situations, who's been, again, No complaints about Jeff Hoffman. It's Alvarado coming back is huge for this team. He's going to be able to be the fireman, be the guy who's in the high leverage space, give Soto a night off, give Dominguez a night off on a night where maybe they would have had to use those guys. So it's just going to be big to get him back going. And now we get to game 2. Dude, how a mess. I've been yawned all day, and now I'm like, all of a sudden, now that I'm live, I'm like yawning all over the damn place. Anyway. Phillies won game 2, 9-4. My player of the game was Bryce Harper. There was a lot of good to take out of this game. There was also a couple bad, starting with the Phillies loading the bases in the second inning and 0 outs. And how many times have we seen this? How many times are we going to go through them? Bases loaded, no outs, and they come up with 1 or no runs. And these spots always find JT Realmuto. I don't know what it is. I don't know what blood oath he made to the baseball gods. But the big moment always finds JT Realmuto, and he strikes out every time. Without fail, JT Realmuto strikes out. We have a joke, me and Matt Sporsky, we have a joke where whenever it's bases loaded, no outs, it's how do they get no runs here? It's always strikeout double play. And they almost did it. But luckily the caveman got him out of it, because the strikeout, there was one, which was the biggest, of course they did in the history of baseball. Don't worry, guys. Our ace Aaron Nola will pick us up, right? Nope. Immediately gave the runs back on a Dalton Varsho 2-run home run to make it 2-1. And then it was kind of a dogfight after that. And then the Phillies kind of ran away with it. Harper with a solo home run in the third to make it 2-2. And then on an 0-2 pitch, because there's nothing Aaron Nola loves more than to not put guys away, he gives up an RBI signal to Kevin Biggio, who stinks, in the third to make it 4-2. And Aaron Nola needs to be studied in a lab, because I don't get him. I don't know if it's the postseason run. I don't know if it's the looming thought of free agency ahead of him. Figure it out, man, because I can't do it with Aaron Nola anymore. And it is so mind-boggling that they chose to give Taijuan Walker skip one of his starts when it should be Aaron Nola, for God's sakes. His past 2 starts, he's gone 5 innings both times against a terrible Nationals team. Well, scrappy, but you get my point. Against a not very good Nationals team and a Blue Jays team who's, pretty good, but you need your ace, your co-ace in that situation to step up, and he doesn't. He dookies the bed like he does all the time, and I am not touching him with a 50-foot pole if they make it to the playoffs or in free agency. I do not care what he does for the rest of the season at this point. I am done with Aaron Nola. I am done giving him the benefit of the doubt until he shoves it 8 innings, 1 run or less. I ain't buying it. I'm sailing his starts away as automatic losses. The whole thing was, the Phillies don't give him run support. How many times have we seen Aaron Nola blow a 5-run lead or less? How many times? Because I can think of 4 times off the top of my head we have gotten him 5 runs or more, and he has squandered that lead. Because I don't know what it is. I don't know if he doesn't trust his stuff. I don't know. He needs to be studied in a lab, because this is a guy who's God, that ruined my rant. This is a guy who finished 4th in the Cy Young voting last year, who finished 3rd in a few years prior, and now he has a worse ERA than the worst pitcher on the Phillies right now, i.e. the title of the episode, because that's how crazy it is with this guy. Even if he's not going to give you, if he's going to give up 4 runs, he at least went 6-7 innings every night. He hasn't done that in forever. I can't remember the last time Aaron Nola went 7 innings, let alone have a quality start. Was it the Tampa Bay series? Maybe. That I thought was going to be the jumping off point for Aaron Nola, but no. It's just disappointing start after disappointing start with Aaron Nola, and I can't do it anymore with him. I just can't. I'm done with Aaron Nola being relied on. I'm not giving him the ball in the postseason. I'm just done with him. I'm done. I'm done believing in this guy. Am I being harsh? Maybe. But for God's sakes, dude, we've given you the run support. Your inability to put guys away. Your walks are way up. Oh, for Christ's sake, it's a miracle. We're popping bottles on Broad Street when he doesn't give up 2 home runs in a game. You're supposed to be the co-ace of this team, and they can't even rely on you right now, man. Figure it out. You are a big league pitcher. Yes, I understand the human element of the game. We saw it with the Trey Turner stuff. We've seen it all over the league. But at what point are you going to get pissed off and say, you know what? Screw these people, what they're saying about me. I'm going to prove them all wrong and shove, because that moment isn't happening right now. Figure it out. Anyway, Castellanos got the Phillies back within 1 with an RBI double in the 5th to make it 4-3. And then something finally went into the Phillies' favor. Thank God. Santiago Espinal had a throwing error and gave the Phillies the lead in that 5th inning. 2-run score to make it 5-4. And then Schwarber with a sac fly in the 6th. Bohm with an RBI single in the 6th to make it 6-4 and then 7-4. Then you had Jake Cave and Bryce Harper, both with home runs. Harper's second of the night to make it 8 and 9-4. Matt Strahm going 2 innings and actually like panning out might be like the biggest shocker of the century. And then Kimbrel, and I touched on this a little bit, but Kimbrel recently, the past couple nights or his past couple outings, has been used as more of a fireman, meaning, if it's the 8th inning and 3, 4, or 5 are coming up, Craig Kimbrel is going to be put into that spot rather than just the 9th inning, which I don't mind. Pitched 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, and then Soto, like I said, unlocking Greg Soto to get back on track to how he was in June is key. I loved him in this spot, down 5 runs, maybe a get right spot for him. And maybe he's like figured out something with his arm slot that's going to be able to carry over for the rest of the season. But it stems back to Nola. I mean, 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. Yeah, the strikeouts are still there, but these are back-to-back starts where he was laboring. At least in the national start, he didn't give up a run. Well, he did on the score line, but he didn't. But yeah, it's just been meh with Aaron Nola all year. I see it on Twitter, see it on WIP. It's the Cole Hamels 2009 season, but this feels like more infuriating. But I don't know. I'm not giving Aaron Nola a contract. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. He's proven nothing to me this season. So I touched on pretty much all of my keynotes outside of Alec Boehm in his past 7 games hitting 143. I'm sure that'll turn. I'm sure it's just a little scuffle right here. We saw how red hot he can get, and I still love him in the 2-hole. I don't think they should remove him from the 2-hole. I think he should stay there. So that's that. That's the Phillies 2-game series in up north. For that. Oh, and Rob Thompson, congratulations. It was his birthday yesterday, and he won his first game in Canada. And for those who don't know, Topper is Canadian, and they were singing happy birthday to him last night, which was really cool to see. Never saw them doing that for the other idiots, so the guys really love Rob Thompson, and so does everybody in Philadelphia. So, and now another edition of the best reskinned bit segment of the .NET Phillies podcast. That is, remember him? This is a series where I just look back at some random pitchers that the Phillies had throughout the years and just ask yourself, remember him? So I got a couple deep cuts. One guy I wanted the Phillies to sign when Bailey Falter sucked. Another guy was my least favorite pitcher from the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies. And a third guy was a guy I honestly forgot about until I made this list. So because he made 7 starts with the Phillies. So first guy was a guy I completely forgot about because I like to block out the 2015 Philadelphia Phillies. It was nothing good came of that team. That guy is Chad Billingsley. Mr. Billingsley was drafted by the Dodgers in the first round of 2003 MLB draft. Fastball, cutter, changeup, slider, curve, so kind of the whole kitchen sink. Made his major league debut in 2006. He spent 2006 to 2013 with the Dodgers, 226 games, 197 starts, 1,212 and a third innings to a 3.72 ERA. So not bad for Mr. Billingsley. But after the 2012 season, his career took a nosedive. So after the 2012 season, it was revealed that he needed Tommy John surgery. Rather than getting the surgery, he decided to get platelet-rich plasma injections, and that is essentially a injection that heals the torn ligaments and pulled muscles and stuff like that at a rapid pace. Seemed to work. He started 2013, made a couple starts, and then revealed the tear was back and needed Tommy John surgery anyway. So instead of just missing, 2012, it was after 2012, so he would have missed 2013 regardless if he got Tommy John or not. Needed Tommy John in 2013, then missed the entirety of the 2014 season with a torn flexor tendon. The Dodgers declined his option after that 2014 season, therefore became a free agent. He signed a one-year deal with the Phillies, 7 games, 37 starts, 5.84 ERA. And that was kind of it. Nobody's kind of heard from him. He became the head baseball coach at Conrad Wessler High School in 2018. And that was the last I could find of Chad Billingsley and his goings on. I'm going to try to get him on the pod. Chad, if you're listening, come on. I could probably get him. Come on. I could probably get like a majority of the 2015 Phillies on here. Not to, toot my own horn, but like, come on now. My next guy might be my least favorite pitcher of all time because I'll never forgive him for what the absolute heartache that he put me through during a May Mets game. And I think the ears are ringing. The antennas are up. We all know who I'm talking about. It's James freaking Norwood. James Norwood, drafted by the Cubs in the 7th round of 2014 MLB draft, features a fastball, changeup, slider. Made his major league debut July 11, 2018. He spent 2018 to 2020 with the Cubs. With the major league team, 23 games, 22 innings to a 4.5 ERA. Spent a majority in time in AAA and was designated for assignment in March of 2021 when the Cubs signed Tony Walters. He was then subsequently traded to the San Diego Padres. The trade was Padres got James Norwood. The Cubs got Darius Valdez. Spent a majority of 2021 in AAA, 43 games, 44 and 2/3 to a 4.43 ERA. With the major league club, did make a brief stint there, 5 games, 5 innings, 0 ERA, so he was pretty solid for them. The Padres added Kyle Tyler. Never trust a guy with 2 first names, by the way. Added Kyle Tyler, therefore needed to make room. Designated James Norwood for assignment. And then the Phillies decided, hey, that's a great guy to go after. So Phillies got James Norwood in 2022, and the Padres got Kevin Pachardo in cash considerations. Cash considerations was a great prospect. I thought this was a bit of an overpay for James Norwood. Cash was quickly becoming a top 50 prospect, but I guess the Phillies saw something in Norwood. So started out strong in April. Through April, 2.84 ERA. Pretty respectful ERA for a reliever. And then we get to the May series. 2 games, 2/3 of an inning, 6 earned runs. And May series. What's May series? Phillies were winning 7-1 in the top of the 9th inning. And that absolute buffoon of a manager decided to bring in James Norwood against the Mets lineup, who is stacked. At that year, their lineup this year is like the same, but they've all regressed, which is like hilarious, but that's a completely other discussion for another day. James Norwood proceeded to give up like 5 earned runs. And then they had to bring in Dominguez, who then gave up those runs, and the Mets won the game 8-7. So, bad memories. 20 games, 17 1/3 to an 8.31 ERA. He was designated for assignment in June of 2022, back, when the Phillies got serious about winning. However, it breaks my heart, but he does have a National League championship ring. That's what I say to that. He then, after the Phils, was traded to Boston in 2022. Boston got James Norwood. Phillies got back cash considerations, which is huge. I guess there was a deal between the Padres and Red Sox that brought cash to the Red Sox, and the Phillies were able to bring him back in, so that's huge. Never made an appearance for the Red Sox. He was on the active roster, but never pitched. In 15 games, 20 and a third to a 4.87 ERA. He left in the 2020. He left in free agency, signed a minor league deal with the New York Yankees, and is currently on the 60-day IL. Could not find what the hell his injury is anywhere. I looked for like 15 minutes, and then I'm like, I don't care enough about James Norwood, but I care about giving people factual information. Couldn't find anything anywhere about that. So that's James Norwood. Now, this guy, I won his jersey in 2011. Won his jersey in 2011 at the crisp age of 12 in an arcade machine in North Wildwood. It was a highlight. Actually, I won it with tickets. I hit the big bass wheel, won his jersey. I was so happy. I posted all over Facebook. I was so happy. I'm like, oh my God, I got his jersey, whatever. This guy pitched in the WBC 2023. A guy I wanted the Phillies to sign when Bailey Falter was sucking. That is the Vanimal, Vance Worley. Vance was drafted by the Phillies in the third round of the 2008 MLB draft. Fastball, cutter, curve. Made his major league debut July 24, 2010. Spent 2010 to 2012 with the Phillies. 53 games, 46 starts, 277 and 2/3 to a 3.5 ERA. He was a major cog, finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2011. He was a major cog in that rotation with Rory Oswalt dealing with the injury. Vance Worley really stepped up. He was so good his rookie year. And then it was fine his sophomore year. And then the Phillies decided to trade him with Victorino leaving. They needed a center fielder, so they went to the Minnesota Twins, called them up, and the Twins got Vance Worley and Trevor May, and the Phillies got Ben Revere. It was the Ben Revere trade, and in hindsight, looked a bit of an overpay for Ben Revere. Oh, yeah, he hit singles. That's all. I mean, he was fine out there, but God, I did not like Ben Revere. But he made it the opening day start for the Twins in 2013. He only spent one season there. He was sent down in May in AAA, 9 games, 58 innings, 3.88 ERA. However, in the big leagues, 10 games, 48 and 2/3 to a 7.21 ERA. He was outrighted in before the 2014 season, then traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates got Vance Worley. The Minnesota Twins acquired cash considerations. Spent 2014 to 2015 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Spent time as a starter and a reliever. He was actually pretty good. 41 games, 25 starts, 182 and a third to a 3.3 run ERA. He was DFA'd in July of 2015. However, was outrighted AAA. But the person he was outrighted for, his former teammate Joe Blanton, on that 2015 Pittsburgh Pirates. And then outrighted, he was claimed off waivers by the Baltimore Orioles in 2015. Spent 2016 with the Orioles, again as a starter, more of a reliever, but did make a couple starts. 35 games, 4 starts, 86 and 2/3 to a 3.53 ERA. Then left in free agency, signed a minor league deal with the Nationals in 2017, however, was released. Then signed a minor league deal with the Marlins in 27 that same year. Started in AAA, 8 games, 44 and 2/3 to a 4.43 ERA. In May, he was called up, 24 games, 8 starts, 71 and 2/3 to a 6.91 ERA. So not very good. Signed a minor league deal with the Cincinnati Reds. I was about to say the Bengals. Football season. Go Birds. Then opted out in April of 2018, then signed with the Mets in 2018. He was injured a lot during that season, but 4 games, 16 and a third to a 13.50 ERA. Not very good for Mr. Worley. Then signed with the Somerset Patriots, the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball in 2020. Season was canceled, obviously, because of COVID-19. Signed with the Kane County Cougars of the American Association of Baseball, or Professional Baseball, 5 games, 33 and a third to a 4.01 ERA. His contract was then purchased by the Mets in June of 2021, spent the rest of the season in AAA, 16 games, 15 starts, 86 innings to a 5.23 ERA, then signed back with the King County Cougars in 2022, 18 games, 114 innings to a 4.89 ERA, released in September 2022. And the most recent spotting we've had of the Vanimal was in the WBC for Great Britain. Struck out Mookie Betts or Mike Trout, one of them. Struck out one of the USA guys. So he still got it. The Vanimals still got it. But now, last thing here on the docket, we have the series preview against the Nats. Let me check, because as of last night and this morning, the Nationals have not announced their starters. I want to see if they have. No, they still haven't. Or wait. No, they still haven't. So we have Michael Lorenzen, Chris Sanchez, and Ranger Suarez. Lorenzen, obviously, his last start was that no-hitter against the Nationals, so we'll see how he does against them. This time, Chris Sanchez, like I mentioned, his last start, he's been fine, but I think going to 5-man, maybe get him into repetition. And again, I don't know what you do with Chris Sanchez. Do you send him down to be continued to stretch out as a starter in case, God forbid, something happens to one of the guys? In my opinion, I think they should. I think they should call up Bellotti or Brogdon to get an extra arm out there in that bullpen because they are depleted. Bellotti's been really good for AAA, so maybe bring him back. And then Ranger looks to continue to get right. His past couple starts, he's looked a lot better. So let's see what the Phils do here, but that's going to do it for me. Reminder, no episodes next week. I will be away, so I do apologize for that, but I'll keep updates on my Instagram and TikTok, so look out for them. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Follow, like, subscribe, follow all the socials down below, and I will see you guys next time.